Yo, welcome to the show, BroMob. We're your hosts, Chad and Brian. Today is December 9th. December 9th. Man, we are getting into the season here. We are getting into the playoffs here. I know I am. Brian, I know you are in at least a league, so that's looking good.
Christmas. And you know what that brings? Fantasy playoffs. Why am I talking like this?
It sounds like Dracula.
Look, man, this is the best time of the second best. Nope, this is the best time. What do you like better? Fantasy playoffs or drafting?
Draft day.
Yeah, draft day is just such. It's like a holiday. It should be a holiday. Fantasy football draft weekend should be a holiday weekend. I'm gonna call it. I think we should do it. We should get everybody together in the community. If you're listening, that means you, and we need to band together and petition for fantasy football draft holidays because it's a big deal. But you know what's even a bigger deal, Chad? The fact that for the 6th year in the row in League of Record, your guy, yours truly, is in the playoffs. You and I had an epic battle this week, man. I got to give it to you. You put it to me. But I almost had you. Almost had you. Look, man, I got no Christian McCaffrey. I got no Kenny Golladay all freaking season. I told you that if I didn't have those guys when I played you, I was going to lose. But I gave you a run for your money. I almost had you.
With them, you would have lost too. I'd beat you.
Nah.
All day, every day.
Nah, if I had McCaffrey, dude, drilled. Absolutely drilled. Chad and I were literally playing each other for the number 1 overall record, which I have won that prestigious title for the last 2 years straight, and I was in the running again this year. Almost had it. But instead, didn't even get a first round bye. So I'm hosting a wild card game. That's the good news. I won my division. But yeah. So if you're listening, Ryan, I'm coming for you.
Ooh,
you're gonna get drilled.
You love living in the past, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, I like the relish in my past.
I am the best
accomplishments. I have been the best. I currently believe I am the best. Therefore, look at my past history. It tells you everything.
You are not the best. Clearly, you're not the best. I'm winning every record. Every one of them.
Keanu does not agree with you.
Keanu definitely agrees.
I talked to him.
Did you?
Yeah. I watched I watched John Wick 2 the other day. Man, that movie's good.
Just number 2 out of nowhere.
Yeah, it was on Hulu. It's the only thing available. John Wick, like the first one, is available. Like it's going to be on Hulu in like a week. So I don't know why they went like 2 first, but it is what it is. So when you have John Wick, no matter what number it is, you take advantage of watching it because it is.
Which one is your favorite?
Oh man, so they're all 3 so different, but also the same, different, but same,
but same,
so,
but still same,
still same, but different. Yes. So I truly enjoy the second. I really enjoy the second one. I think I like how they wrapped up the first story real quick and then immediately new storyline, which plays into, but the third one, the shooting, the amount of shooting and the jujitsu that is done is unbelievable in the third one. So I think the third one is my favorite, but the second one is it's right there, man.
The second one's my favorite.
Yeah, it's good, man.
It's really good.
Yeah, I agree completely. Yes.
Thank you.
All right. But we should probably talk. We should probably talk about.
It's going great.
We should probably get into some fantasy because that's what the show is.
Getting that. Yep.
Yes.
So this episode is going to be wonderful, Brian, because we are helping the BroMob for the playoffs. get ready to win, guys, because we got some winning strategies for you. We're letting you know about players you should be picking up, players you should be playing, things you should be doing, and we're going to be hitting you with the top 3 stories of the week. But first, be sure to listen every single week on Apple Podcasts. If you're not already, be sure to listen, subscribe, get that juicy notification, watch us on YouTube. It's a wonderful time. Great stuff happening. I'm in a dungeon. I need to get it decorated because it's not. I'm in a new
no, it's not.
Helped, and Brian's lights just go out. He didn't pay his electric.
Everything else is on. What just happened? Why is the light off? I don't know.
Goodness.
No one knows, man. The stuff that goes on in this place, I don't control anything. I get no say in anything, man.
I'm just looking. I see lights turn off randomly. Okay, continuation of what I was saying. Be sure to follow along after the show by following us on Twitter and Instagram. Our handles are right there at FF Bros Podcast. And be sure to go to our website, thefantasyfootballbros.com, for all kinds of news, articles, so much more. Brian, let's hit those stories.
Well, hold on. Before we do, Chad, I know. But before we do, I got to say there's something special about to happen in a few weeks, Chad. I don't know if you know this or not, but BroMob, we are literally just a few weeks away from our 100th episode. It's coming up. Like, Chad, 100 episodes. Can you believe that? Like, I know we started this and we were just happy to get through our first year, but to think that in 2 seasons, 100 episodes later, here we are pumping out content. I got to tell you, I'm excited. So want to do something fun for that episode. We got some ideas, but BroMob, you don't want to miss our 100th episode. We got some cool stuff coming up here. And so you'll see some stuff on Twitter. You'll see some stuff on Instagram about it. So stay tuned to that stuff. But yeah, 100 episodes coming up here in just a few weeks.
Yeah, crazy. And it just so happens to coincide with the end of season 2 of this. So like last year, we take that break off, so it's gonna be perfect. We're hitting that 100th episode. We're partying on the episode. It's gonna be a good time. So just be sure to tune in, guys. We're in episode 96 right now. We're 4 away. We're coming up on it. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, can't wait. So, all right, man, let's, as the birds like to say, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but as the birds like to say, let's get into the show.
All right, Carson Wentz. He is a wench. He's not going to be doing too much right now. Carson Wentz has been benched, and Jalen Hurts, which is what Carson Wentz is going to be feeling this coming weekend, takes over in Philadelphia as the starting quarterback. The rookie, former Oklahoma standout, was in Alabama for years until Tua took over there. Really electric with his legs, and he's a playmaker. It's what he is. And Brian, I'm here to ask you the question: is he fantasy relevant? Are you comfortable streaming Jalen Hurts rest of season based on the performance that you saw and what you know from him out of college?
Well, great question. I'll start with just this week specifically, and I can tell you this, and I'll get in. I don't want to spoil too much because I'm going to get into this a little bit when we talk through our start sits this week. But I'm not too. I could say I'm not excited about this week, and that makes me also not excited about the rest of the season. And I'll really kind of go through why. So this week, New Orleans, first game as a starter as in the NFL. You're playing the New Orleans Saints in New Orleans, and that's a tough game anyway to be on the road against that defense that is playing lights out right now. I think it's just a really tough first game for this guy. I think the timing's terrible for them to do this. I get it. You got to make a change, but man, it would have been better to do this a week or two ago and give the guy a couple games under his belt. But I'm just going to go through the games that the Eagles have left, Chad, because that's my concern as you asked me that. So this week, fantasy playoffs, wild card week, usually against the Saints. I apologize. They're not in New Orleans. They're at home. And so, but next week on the road against the Arizona Cardinals. That defense isn't easy to play against either. Though I think it's better than the Saints. Still a tough defense, that secondary anyway. And then you're on the road in Dallas for a favorable matchup for the fantasy championship. So if you happen to have him on your bench and he makes it, that's my point, is 2 games in a row here with tough defensive matchups, especially this week. Carson Wentz might be back in the lineup next week. So that's my concern, Chad, is I feel like that could be the dagger for him.
It could be, but also at the same time, I watched him play against Green Bay, which is a good pass defense as well. And in basically what was 3 drives for him, right? Like 3 offensive drives, he was able to string together 100 yards passing, and he was able to string together 50 yards on the ground, a touchdown in the air. He did have a pick, but that 100 yards in the air and 50 yards on the ground, that right there in 3 drives is what is pretty exciting to me. Some people that have that ability to rush and that have the ability to find some open receivers. So, I mean, I saw production out of those 3 drives. So I like what I'm seeing there. And we've seen it before. Quarterbacks who can rush, they usually have high floors, even against bad defenses, right? Because even if they throw a pick, what you're getting out of your rushing points and out of your possible rushing touchdowns are pretty much counterintuitive to that, right? I mean, so I think I'm in a different boat. I like Jalen Hurts. I think he's a good stream going forward. Even against the tough defenses. Even this week against New Orleans, I like it. I actually, to be honest, him against Taysom Hill this week would be phenomenal to watch.
I just think that New Orleans defense is playing too well for him right now.
They are playing very well.
I don't see that being a game where he does well. Though, who knows? I mean, it's so fitting to 2020 in the NFL this year. Maybe that is a game that he does well. But I mean, I guess here's my question, Chad. You kind of look at some of the quarterbacks that people might be rolling out this week with unfavorable matchups. So here's a good one. This kind of falls into my lap. You've got Josh Allen playing against Pittsburgh. They're at home, but they're playing that Pittsburgh defense. Defense is banged up a little bit. It's though they are ranked as the number 1 defense against quarterbacks right now. The last couple weeks really has been not so good to them in terms of injuries. So, Chad, my question is let's say you have Hurts on your bench and you have Josh Allen. Are you comfortable playing Hurts over Allen?
I'm not.
Yeah, me either.
Josh Allen for sure.
What about so another example would be let's say you're sitting with like Matt Stafford and he's playing at home against Green Bay, might have Kenny Golladay back, should have Swift in there, should have a healthy team, new coach as they've fired Matt Patricia. Are you rolling Stafford, or would you take a flyer on a guy like Hurts?
I mean, Stafford hasn't been anything special. I mean, he puts up those games recently. He's putting up 20-pointers here and there. But with Kenny Golladay coming back, or possibly coming back, it would be nice to have Stafford. I just like that rushing. That's kind of where the line is for me. It's like Stafford, Jalen Hurts. That's where I'm looking at them. I don't have them back at players like Derek Carr or Phillip Rivers or anybody like that. I think he's kind of in that line right there with like a Matt Stafford.
All right. Last one I have for you is, Jared Goff is a top 15 quarterback right now on the season, a great streaming option. Would you?
It's ghosts.
we got ghosts, man. What the hell's going on over here? I literally was just sitting here. I didn't do anything.
It's just not enough.
Like, house gonna burn down? I don't know. Jared Goff or I don't even, bro. If you're watching this on YouTube, like, we're having lighting issues over here. This is wild.
And everybody listen to us on Apple Podcast. Right now, Brian just has a strobe light effect going on in this room. Lights are on and off.
We're partying in here. Jared Goff against the New England Patriots, though they're at home. They're playing New England. Or are you feeling like Hurts would be an option there?
I'm probably starting Hurts.
Ooh, man, I don't
Goff.
I don't think I can sit Goff right now. I feel like though he has been inconsistent, I will say that 24. The week before that, 4. The week before that, 24. The week before that, 9. So it's I get that part.
Those off weeks.
It's like my lights right now. It's just on and off.
It's on and off.
On and off, man. So I just I gotta say, we got ghosts, man. I don't know what's going on. Oh man! All right.
I like the possibilities there. It's going to be good. Brian, hit me with that second story.
All right. So second story here is, Chad, as we're talking about New Orleans, Drew Brees possibly coming back this week. I think they're going to hold him out another week, but even if he were to come back next week, my question to you is, what do you think about this in terms of fantasy value for Taysom Hill? He's been serviceable as a streamer these last couple weeks. 1 week as a tight end, as you know. So, but now even as a quarterback, he's a streaming option. He's able to move the ball on his feet, gives you a nice floor. Is Taysom Hill somebody are you holding him? If Drew Brees comes back, are you dropping him? Where are you at with Taysom Hill? What are your concerns?
I am absolutely holding him for that possibility that he gets that tight end designation again.
Yeah.
I mean, even if he doesn't play quarterback 100% of the time, I think he's won himself more snaps, even with Drew Brees there, right? Like, I don't see it being, this is one of the weirdest things I'm about to say, a 50-50 snap for a QB share, but I don't see it being a 50-50 snap. But I could see Drew Brees being out there for 80% of the snaps and then 20% of the snaps being Taysom Hill. And what we've seen from him is that he's like the real rushing threat on this team now when it comes to the red zone. He's been stealing from Alvin Kamara. He's been stealing from Latavius Murray. It's
a thief.
It's clear that he's the guy right there in the red zone. So even with if he gets tight end designation again, I like him as just a tight end going forward. But even without that, let's say Drew Brees does come back, I'm probably not starting him at quarterback. He's not going to get enough snaps. I might get 12 points out of him, 13 points out of him, but I'm not looking for that from a quarterback. So I'm hoping Drew Brees comes back. I think the question I have in my head is, why would the Saints rush Drew Brees back when they're in the playoffs? So why not just rest him till the playoffs, or at least get one game in, maybe week 17, get Brees out there playing for half the game and take him out again so that he's ready for the playoffs. But why rush it?
Yeah, so I think the main reason maybe why rush it is if they felt like they had a threat to lose a first round bye, because this year there's only one bye for NFL teams rather than two. So only one team gets the bye, and right now they're slated to be that team. So if they felt like there was risk to that, maybe that's why you bring Brees back. But Taysom's been serviceable. So I get that part. I think Brees stays. I think he stays on the bench. That's my gut. I don't have anything to back that up with other than just a gut feeling. But if I'm Sean Payton, I want to keep my star quarterback as healthy as possible to go deeper and I'll obviously give his shoulder some rest to go deep in the playoffs and play. But you don't want him to be too stale, so he might get a little bit of playing time. But I think Taysom's your guy right now, maybe rest of regular season, which is great for fantasy. So, that's kind of where I'm at. But I'm with you, Chad. I don't think I drop him, though. I will say ESPN has been clear that they have no intentions of adding a tight end designation back to him this year, even if Brees were to capture back the quarterback position. I just don't think ESPN wants another situation like they had a few weeks ago. So I don't think you're going to see that, but I do think, you never know, man. Brees gets in there, gets hurt, might not be a good deal for him,
Yeah. All this bye talk got me thinking this.
Love me some JT.
I also have one.
Get it.
And I feel good with it.
Yeah.
It's a good time. All right. Story number 3, hitting it. We all know that Tennessee and Green Bay, look, all of the world's talking about how easy their schedule is coming forward. And Jesus, let me tell you, it's super easy. I know. I've got both the guys on my roster. It's going to feel nice. I'm feeling good about it. My whole team's going to be great. This isn't a whole segment for me to just boast about my team, though. listen here. There's two other running backs that people aren't looking at as RB1s that are also top 5 in ease remainder of schedule. Those teams are the Bears and the Buccaneers. And those running backs are Ronald Jones and David Montgomery. Brian, they are going to eat. I'm saying it right now, putting it on the board. I'm not even going to ask you the question. I'm going to tell you what it is. These guys are going to be RB1s sitting in your RB2 spot or even your flex spot going through the fantasy playoffs, and they're possibly even league winners. Look, David Montgomery, the last 2 games, 22.8 fantasy points, 25.1 fantasy points. Ronald Jones, first game wasn't too hot. He had 2.4 fantasy points. For some reason, Bruce Arians likes to not run the ball every once in a while. But then when he does run the ball, 16.8 fantasy points. Ronald Jones needs to get the rock more because, look, quite frankly, Tom Brady needs a little bit of rest. They need to win games, but they're not getting the first round bye. Okay, so he needs a little bit of rest so that he's ready for these not even just the fantasy playoffs, but he's ready for the regular playoffs, right? So give him some rest. Give the ball to Ronald Jones. Let him run amok because he's looking good. I love both these guys. Brian, what are you thinking about this?
So I'm with you, but I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to pull voodoo hex on me because I got one of these guys in League of Record. That's what you're trying to do right now, and it's not going to work, Chad Davidson. It's not working. I will see you in the championship game, and I will crush you. All right, just know that. But that aside, for 1 second, I just wanted to make sure you know that. But that aside, I 100% agree with you. You just got that right there. Look, that aside, man, I'm with you. Love Monty. I talked about it a couple weeks ago. Like his rest of the year looked like a really juicy, but it was. I was out on him. I was like, I can't do it. And then what does he do? Right when I drop him like it's hot, he says, take it. And he just jams me with a steak. So the last 2-3 weeks, Monty has been crushing it. The volume's there, which is what you want, right? You need the volume. Is he an elite talented running back? No, he's not. And I'll stick to that. I don't think he is. I think he's a good running back. I think what's helping him, to be candid with you, I think the fact that Foles got injured, you got to put Trubisky back in. I think Matt Nagy's like, nope, I'm not throwing it 40 times with this guy. I don't even want to throw it 25 times with this guy. We're just going to run the ball, get out of this season, and we're just going to milk the clock and get out of here. And you're seeing Monty with a lot of volume. You're seeing the other guy that they're running as a running back. Why can't I think of his name right now?
Cordell Patterson.
Thank you. Patterson's getting involved. And that, I mean, look, if Cordell Patterson isn't involved as much as he is, Monty is probably a top 5 running back rest of season. I mean, he'd be in the talks for that. I think he's top 10 rest of season at this point right now with just the volume he's getting and the matchups he has. So I'm with you 100%. I like it. It's me agreeing with this is probably going to stab me in the back because of the fact that I have him. But I also agree with Ronald Jones. I agree with your philosophy on what you believe Arians should be doing. The team has said that they want to get him more involved. He is, I mean, the guy is just everything we said he would be, Chad. So for all the people that gave us hate on Twitter, where are you at now? Okay. I'm calling you out, but we said Rojo was the real deal, and he is the real deal. They need to stop trying to fit in Fournette. The guy's done. He looks slow, looks discombobulated when he's out there. He's like, I don't even know what's going on. I don't know what he's seeing. He's seeing ghosts out there, but Ronald Jones runs with fury. He hits the hole fast. And he has good vision. I mean, everything's there that you need. So I just don't know how they don't give that guy the ball more, and I think they will. So yeah, I'm 100% with you, Chad.
Good.
Yep.
We'd like to hear.
I'll give you something to hear.
Oh no, don't.
You want something?
What?
I'll give it to you.
All right, let's move into our love hates for this week.
I'll text it.
All right, Brian, let's start us off with the quarterbacks. Yeah.
Quarterback. All right. Okay. All right. So look, we're in fantasy playoff season. All right. And if you've been listening, you're probably in the fantasy playoffs. If you haven't been listening, you're probably, you're not even hearing me right now. So I guess there's that. But long story short, fantasy playoff week. I really like Ben Roethlisberger this week, Chad. I think that the Steelers coming off of this loss against Washington is Mike Tomlin is furious. Back-to-back weeks of really rough games. This past week, even worse. And I think what's even more favorable to Ben Roethlisberger is the fact that the defense is a little banged up right now. So the team is going to need to continue to throw the ball. Let me just read these stats to you, Chad. This is just over the last 4 games. So 4 games, including this past week, 196 passing attempts, 1,171 passing yards, and 9 touchdowns. That's Ben Roethlisberger's stat line. That's insane. It's insane. This week, they draw the Buffalo Bills, 9th most fantasy points to quarterbacks, opposing quarterbacks. I know they're on the road in Buffalo. Look, Pittsburgh's going to have to throw the ball. Love me some Ben Roethlisberger. Get him in your lineup. All right, Chad. And then for hate, I thought we had. Did we not have a drop? Did we not have love and hate? I was going to say. I was going to say. I thought it felt awkward. I thought we had a hate drop.
Right into it.
Thanks, man. All right, for my hate. We talked about him earlier. Jalen Hurts. Not a big fan this week on the road, or not on the road. I'm sorry. They're at home. I don't know why I think it's in New Orleans, but it doesn't matter. Regardless of whether they're at home or in New Orleans, they're playing the New Orleans Saints. That defense the last few weeks has been as hot as you can get defensively, especially against the pass. I get it. He's going to have a floor of rushing. There'll be some opportunities there. Sure. I just don't see him as a top 12 quarterback this week. Don't like him this week at all, to be honest. I think there's going to be a lot of mistakes. I think he throws some interceptions. So not a big fan of Jalen Hurts. I think he hurts your fantasy lineup.
Ooh, clever.
Yes, hey. Clever.
I hated it. All right.
Love.
I love a bowl of orange sherbet. And I also love Justin Herbert, the sherbet monster machine. I love this guy. I hate everything I'm saying, but I love it. Justin Herbert, it's something about being embarrassed by a team that you shouldn't be embarrassed by, New England Patriots, that is, that just will wake you up and make you have a great game. And Justin Herbert going against Atlanta, who just can't stop anything. Their defense is atrocious. They've been destroyed by Taysom Hill twice in the last 3 weeks. And I think Justin Herbert's a little bit better. Justin Herbert's going to have himself a game. Brian, I told you last week, I think I even won some money off of it, that Keenan Allen's going to have a bad game. He did. He had a terrible game. And guess what? He's going to have a great game this time around. Put on the board, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Hunter Henry, I don't care who it is, Austin Eckler, Justin Herbert. This whole offense is going to go great. I'm feeling great. Things are going to be great. I love Sherbert.
Hate.
Derek Carr. I'm not bringing in the car. Okay. If you've watched some Die Hard, probably it's December here. I'm a believer in the fact that Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I'll fight anybody that says it's not. I'm not bringing in the car because this car ain't going to help anything. He's going against Indianapolis, and this defense is good. Okay. So good, in fact, that opposing quarterbacks just don't do well against them. So I got something stuck in my throat.
Struggling.
It's probably Derek Carr. And I hate it. Get it out of here. I don't even want to talk about it. My throat's getting all scratchy here, Brian. I'm going to hand it over to you. It's running back time. Go.
Well, hold on. Before we get in the running backs, I just want to. So first of all, that first rant, ridiculous. But I got to tell you, I agree with Derek Carr this week. Do not play him. But also, I want to just quickly mention the conversation we had last week about Derek Carr, and you said that you didn't trust him, and that I said it's the Jets, Chad. You should play anybody against them, especially Derek Carr coming off of a hideous game against, I believe it was the Atlanta Falcons. 30 32.74 fantasy points. And I wanted to get your take. I just wanted to hear what you thought about the game.
Fluke.
Fluke.
It didn't matter at all because he was on most people's benches because he should have been. He wasn't good. It wasn't a good matchup because he's terrible. I hate him. I hate that you're making me talk about him. I talked about him weeks ago, and I put him in my love, and because of that, I hate him going forward because he destroyed me with the love. Derek Carr, no. But
I mean,
real take, he had a good game.
yeah. I wanted to hear you say that. I want to hear you say yes or no to this. Brian, you were right about Derek Carr. Just yes or no to that.
I'll prove that, or I'll say that when you say the same thing about Keenan Allen.
Next. All right, here we go. Running backs. David Montgomery. All right. We just talked about him just literally a few minutes ago. This is every time I've made him my love, Chad. This has not been a good move for me. He has bit me in the back so many times. Do you get bit in the back, by the way? Is that a saying?
By a mosquito.
By a mosquito. All right, fair. But look, David Montgomery, you've done it to me a few times. I'm giving you one last chance, and it's during the most important game of the year, aka it's not really the most important because that would be the championship game, but right now it is. All right. And that's week 14 fantasy playoffs. All right. Don't do it to me. The volume's there. Houston Texans, they're the second worst team against opposing running backs this year. Also, look, allowing the most yards to opposing running backs on the ground, second most in touchdowns to running backs, fifth worst. This is the Texans, not the Bears. Fifth worst against running backs in passing yards allowed. Light me some David Montgomery this week, Chad. What do you think about that, by the way? What do you think about that Monty pick?
I hate that you throw me for a loop. I'm hitting you with my drops. We're remote. We're not in person, so I can't catch a cue. I'm hitting you with a hate. I hate that you're doing that.
Too fast. Too fast. Too furious. All right, hate. Let's do it. I don't even give you time to answer. I'm just like, nope.
Back. What's going on here?
That's right. You should have never gave me control of this camera stuff. All right. Hate this week is Raheem Mostert, San Francisco 49ers running back. I know he's back, and I know he started off the season really great, and everybody's excited, and everybody's like, ooh, here we go. Mostert's back. Look, let me tell you something. They're playing the Washington Redskins, and that defense, Chad, pretty dang good. All right. They're pretty good this year. I just don't like it. Washington's playing great. They're coming off a really big win against Pittsburgh, giving them the first loss of the year. I think there's going to be a lot of energy, a lot of momentum, a lot of confidence. And also, hey, Washington's the sixth best defense against opposing running backs. So I just don't like the matchup. I think Mostert struggles just like he did this past week.
Okay.
Well, I'm glad you agree. So just
a good take.
All right, fair enough.
I love James Robinson, the rookie out of Jacksonville, going against Tennessee. And this defense is just atrocious against the run. I mean, we're talking a bottom 10 defense in the league against the run. They're constantly allowing 100-yard rushers left and right. And James Robinson, I don't know if you know this, but he is a top 5 fantasy running back this year, and he has proven that he can be a 100-yard rusher with touchdowns, getting used in the passing game, getting used all over the place. This team wants to run the ball because they can't throw the ball. There's something about James Robinson. Rest of the season, I don't want any part of it. Like it's ugly going in week 15 and 16, but this week right here, get him in your lineups because he's going to do some real good for you.
Hate.
Yeah, and going back against what I was saying, this guy last week, Miles Sanders going against New Orleans. This is my hate. New Orleans, as Brian said, has been good, and guess what? They are the worst, the hardest defense to run against in the league right now. I want nothing to do with a running back who gets used in the most confusing way I've ever seen. It's not when you're giving a running back 5 to 6 carries in a game early on, and it's not even working. I want nothing to do with that guy against the best defense against the run in the league, even if it is at home. I just don't care. So Miles Sanders, I love you, man. You're a great running back. Let's get an apartment together after this. But right now, I'm not feeling it.
What do you think about? So I got two things really quick. Number one, high five myself. I was 100% right about Miles Sanders this year. I told you guys that the guy was junk. Chad, you were all over this guy like white on rice. I said, get off of him, dude. You got to let that go. The talent's there. I get it. The team and the situation is what ruins him. And I was absolutely right about that. So pat on the back. But look, BroMob, you got to start listening. All right. You got to take the ears. You got to take your finger, open them and listen. All right. So yeah, a little bit of that. So that one, that's that. Two, my question for you, and I'm going to ask this in the most kind way possible. Do you move Miles Sanders off your team right now in Dynasty because of Jalen Hurts?
No. I have a strong belief that this team is going to trade Carson Wentz. I read this rumor the other day and I loved it. Carson Wentz possibly reuniting with Frank Reich in Indianapolis. I think that's a wonderful fit, and I would love to see that happen. And if that were to happen, I don't know if they stick with Jalen Hurts going forward. I understand they took him in the second round, but I think this is in all actuality, I think this is a tryout for Jalen Hurts to see what he can do for this team. And if he's not the prolific passer that they're hoping he can be, or this prolific athlete, a bunch of leaks all over the place, water all over. If he's not that, then I could see them moving on and grabbing a quarterback in this year's draft, which they would need to at that point. But if that were to happen, I like Miles Sanders. I also like Miles Sanders if there's a change in coaching. Doug Peterson's gone and they bring in somebody like a Gary Kubiak to play offensive coordinator. I talked about this a little bit ago. Just please get Gary Kubiak for Miles Sanders. It would just be a match made in heaven for that dude. It would be so perfect. Just do it.
So here's what I'm going to say. You need to trade Miles Sanders right now. You need to trade him, get what you can, grab a pick, do what you can to get off of this guy, because I can tell you one thing's going to happen. I think two things are about to happen. Number one, I think Jalen Hurts is the real deal, and I think they're about to find that out. I think he's going to struggle against New Orleans. He'll finish decent against or pretty hot to finish the year, and I think the team will see that he's actually a pretty good leader. I think he's a good quarterback, and I think he's going to do well. I think he saves Doug Peterson's job. And that's why I want Miles Sanders off my teams in Dynasty, because I think Doug Peterson's there again next year, and you got the same crap, but even worse, because now you got Jalen Hurts to take rushes away. So I see a Buffalo Bills situation getting ready to happen on that team, and I think that the running backs are going to be even more of a nightmare to own on a Philadelphia Eagles team. So I want off of Miles Sanders as far as I possibly can. It's not that I don't agree with the talent. It's the same situation in Buffalo. I love Singletary. I think his talent is great. I like Zach Moss. I think Zach Moss' talent is great. I think they got two very talented backs. The problem is I think the team is so, I think the way they've designed the offense, it's so Josh Allen centric, and he can control the ball inside the red zone and run it himself or run it in or at this year pass it more. I mean, his passing I think his completion percentage is almost 70% this year. It's incredible. He's having a great year. I just don't want to be a part of that team while they're trying to figure it out. And I don't see the commitment to Miles Sanders on a week-to-week basis. There'll be a week where he is committed and you're like, oh, okay, here we go. And then here comes Boston Scott. So it's exactly what I said it would be in the preseason, Chad. It was Boston Scott is going to be this irritation all year. And I see the same crap happening next year. So I want nothing to do with Miles Sanders. So that's my take on Sanders right now. I just was curious where you stood.
I mean, you're still going to get top 5 running back value out of him. So it makes sense.
I think right now people are still living on what he could be. So you're going to get the best value. If you wait another year, people are going to go, yeah, he's just not that guy. So you have to see forward a little bit at the risk. I think the risks far outweigh the reward of holding on to him. I think you can pivot, grab a pick, grab a guy in this draft that's heavy running back dominated. You can grab a pick or grab I would even take a late first, early second and try to move up a little bit and grab a running back. I just think you're in a better position to do that. And in long run, I think you're better off because the other team, it's almost like planting a bomb on your competitor's team. Like it's one thing to get a pick, but it's also you're planting this bomb on their team. So he's a guy I would be willing to move inside my division. Boom. Enjoy that. I don't normally, Chad, you know how I am. I don't normally trade with divisional opponents because I want my divisional opponents to have zero advantage on me. But this is a situation where you might consider that.
Yeah. I can see it.
Yep. All right,
Brian. Wide receivers.
All right. So wide receivers this week, Chad. You asked me about him a little bit ago. Keenan Allen, wide receiver of the LA Chargers. They're playing the Atlanta Falcons this week. The Falcons are giving up billions with a B of yards this season per game. So fourth worst against opposing wide receivers on the season. Keenan Allen has been like it's one of the biggest turnarounds of the season. I don't know why he's not being talked about more. He's a PPR monster, Chad, an absolute PPR monster. So, I mean, Keenan Allen, I'm going to say it. I think I think he's potentially the wide receiver 1 this week. And I think he could potentially be the wide receiver 1 rest of the season.
Ooh.
In PPR and half point PPR formats. I think he has that potential for sure.
All right.
The matchup is his matchups are unbelievable.
They are wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Everything about him and Justin Herbert going forward the rest of the season is going to be really nice. I do like Keenan Allen as a top 5 guy going forward. I was actually thinking that already, but as the number 1 is a bit of a stretch. Devontae Adams is getting 2 touchdowns a game, pretty much every single game. So
yeah, that's a good point
to go against that. But Keenan Allen getting anywhere from 13 to 15 targets per game, it's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. So love Keenan Allen this week. All right, hate. Basically any Houston wide receiver against the Chicago Bears this week. Look, losing Will Fuller was really, really tough to this team. Not Dalvin Cook. Geez. Brandon Cooks is he's not the guy. And neither is Kiki Coutier. I think Coutier is actually probably serviceable as a streamer. Not a streamer. I'm sorry, a flex play. So if you're struggling and you're looking for a guy maybe on the waivers, Coutier could be a decent play for you because he's unlikely to get number 1 coverage against the Bears defense. I would rather play Coutier than Brandon Cooks this week. But I'm just not excited about anybody on the Houston Texans right now. The only guy I want to really own on the Houston Texans is maybe David Johnson. And then also obviously Watson is a guy that you're not letting go, but even Watson, I just don't know that I'm excited about. So, not excited about any of these wide receivers. I'm not playing any of them.
Wow. I mean, Watson's balling right now.
No, I like Watson, but not against the Chicago Bears defense.
He's got to throw to somebody.
To the Bears team. probably to them. So
it sounds good. Love. My love for the week is AJ Brown, and I just realized I haven't talked enough about this guy this year. We're talking about a guy who, like Devontae Adams, is getting touchdowns every single game. AJ Brown is getting touchdowns in every single game. It seems like this guy has been unbelievable. All of the fantasy world's been in love with DK Metcalf and the season that he's put together. It's been incredible. I know. But AJ Brown, if he hadn't missed games in the early part of the season, he'd be right there with DK Metcalf for that second year sophomore explosion type of conversation. AJ Brown's just going absolutely bazonkers, and he's playing against the Jacksonville Jaguars for all teams. I mean, they can't guard anything. I mean, it looks like they are a chain link fence trying to guard 1 million billion mosquitoes trying to get through. It ain't happening. Billion mosquitoes getting through every single day. AJ Brown getting through every single day. I see a big touchdown in his forecast this coming week. 60 yards, maybe 65 yards. Ooh, I like that. Why do I sound like this? God.
Hate.
Julio Jones. Just gonna move on through this.
I don't know what to say.
It's hard to ever root against Julio Jones, right? To ever say he's not going to be good because he's absolute freaking nature. But Matt Ryan isn't playing well. This team isn't playing well, and Julio Jones is constantly banged up, and he's playing on, I mean, probably 60% of a fuel tank here. He's going against the LA Chargers, who are actually one of the top 5 toughest opponents against wide receivers this season. And I don't see Matt Ryan and crew turning it around this week and getting better all of a sudden. It's just not going to be pretty. Julio Jones, only way he has a good game is if he gets lucky and catches a deep bomb. But Calvin Ridley's he's catching he's getting too many targets in this offense for Julio Jones to be as fantasy relevant as we've seen him in the past. So for that reason, I hate him this week.
Yeah. So, I mean, I understand the Julio Jones part. So I just think Julio's got that top he could take off. I mean, at any time he could just kind of have that week, so
have that 50-point week.
Yeah. So it's hard to sleep on a guy like Julio sometimes. So I totally get that. But I want to just bring up your AJ Brown conversation. First of all, questionable. He did miss practice today, so something to maybe keep an eye on, just so you know. Yep. But I will say this. I agree with you. He's on pace. Again, he's doing the same. He's got to do the same thing he was doing last year. His yards per reception. I mean, he's only pacing, I think, like 65, 70 receptions on the season. But his pace on yards and touchdowns are pretty eye-opening. He's on pace for, if he played 16 games, is on a 16-game pace of 1,051 yards and 12 touchdowns almost. So, yeah, I'm with you. A.J. Brown definitely doing his thing again, Chad. Absolutely.
Having a season.
Yeah, no kidding.
Love.
All right, let's get into tight ends. So, love me some Mark Andrews this week, Chad. He's coming back. He's off the COVID list now, so he should be back in the game this week. So, if you're a Mark Andrews guy, I feel confident playing him this week, especially against the Cleveland Browns. They're, I believe, on the road in Cleveland. But let me just kind of go through this with you. So, the Browns are the 4th worst defense against opposing tight ends this year to fantasy. Week 1, when Mark Andrews played the Cleveland Browns, Chad, 6 targets, 5 catches, 58 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That was week 1, though. Cleveland, new coach, trying to figure themselves out a bit. So, I don't know if Mark Andrews has that type of game, but I do think he's going to have a very heavy involvement in this game because, quite honestly, Lamar Jackson needs him. And so I think he's missed him quite heavily. So I like Mark Andrews, especially here week 14. I think he's going to win a lot of people ball games. So get Mark Andrews in your lineup. Hate. All right. And then hate. This one's kind of tough. Evan Ingram, New York Giants. And what I really hate about him. So I think the matchup's okay. Cardinals are 8th against opposing tight ends on the season. 8th worst, I should say, against opposing tight ends. So not so good against tight ends. So the matchup is okay. The matchup's there. What I just don't like is he's so up and down. He's so inconsistent. And I just don't trust it. Again, decent matchup. It's not top 5 against tight ends. So, it could be a lot worse, but I think the Cardinals are vulnerable a little bit to tight ends still. They're better than they were last year, but they're still a little vulnerable. And, but I'm not a big fan of Evan Ingram this week. I think he's extremely inconsistent. And for that reason, I'm just not a big fan. Don't like him.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. Evan Ingram was one of my hates as well. I think the guy that I chose was a little bit. I chose him because I feel like his matchup is a little bit tougher, but I like Evan Ingram consistency from a target standpoint.
Yeah.
He's getting targets, and so he's getting looked at, and he's getting used in the offense, and he's actually having positive offensive snaps is what I like to think of him as. He's not out there just blocking. So I like that potential there, but I don't like him this week as well. So it has been up and down. It's going to be nice to get Daniel Jones back and not have to deal with Colt McCoy at quarterback. But
right.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
I love me some Mike Gosicki going against Kansas City. Brian, it happened last year. Gosicki went off at the end of the season. We saw him catch multiple touchdowns. And Brian, guess what? It's happening again. Mike Gosicki for the back-to-back weeks has had tight end 1 weeks. He's had back-to-back touchdowns in both weeks. And he's starting to get some connection there with Mr. Tua. Is too good to be true. Tua good to be true. Mike Gosicki going against Kansas City, who likes to allow some big plays because Tyrann Mathieu on that defense, he is a ball hawk, but because of that, he likes to jump routes every once in a while so that he can take it to the house. And when he jumps those routes, tight ends, typically faster tight ends, like to get behind him and can stretch the field a little bit. So I like Gosicki's opportunity here for targets. I like his opportunity for a touchdown. And I kind of like him the rest of the season, Brian, to be honest. So Mike Gosicki, get him in your lineups, guys. I like what I'm seeing here. I'm not going to feel too sicky about it.
Hate.
Logan Thomas. It's hard to go against this guy who just had a massive week. I believe he had over 20 points in half-point per reception leagues this past week. And it's hard to go against him because Alex Smith is starting to trust his tight ends and throw it to him, right? Logan Thomas going against San Francisco now, who's one of the better defenses in the league against tight ends. And also at the same time, I just don't see Alex Smith repeating against another good defense, even after they've gotten torched by the Buffalo Bills this past week. I mean, Buffalo came in there and embarrassed them in Arizona. It's not really home anymore, but now they're going to be in Arizona again. And I just don't see it happening again. So Logan Thomas is going to get shut down. I think the weapon to worry about in this on the Washington football team's roster is Terry McLaurin. I think he's going to have a good week, but Logan Thomas having a poor week this week. So keep him off your lineups. I know he just had a big one. Don't fall for that. He just had a great week. Let's play him this week. Don't fall for that this week. I don't like it at all.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And Logan Thomas is a guy that I saw the potential, the talent earlier this season. He was my guy a couple times and just never really came. It started off good and then it kind of fizzled out. It's good to see him coming back. I'm glad Alex Smith is trusting him because the talent's there. He's a guy that should be getting the ball. So I like Logan Thomas.
You like Logan Thomas?
Well, I mean, I like Logan Thomas, but not this week.
Oh.
What I meant to say is I like the Logan Thomas take is what I was trying to say. So came out wrong. It came out wrong. I apologize.
Of course.
All right.
Streamers.
All right, Chad, let's do it. So why don't you go first?
Oh, well, thank you, Master.
Yes,
it's very nice of you to let me go.
You shall pass.
I shall go. Starting it off, I mentioned his name a little bit ago. Phillip Rivers going against Las Vegas. He's in Las Vegas, a defense that isn't that good against the quarterbacks, and he's only managed in 25.2% of leagues. Phillip Rivers has actually been having himself some good weeks these past few weeks, and he's actually starting to connect with T.Y. Hilton in this offense, and he's starting to connect with Jonathan Taylor in the backfield, who, guess what, has been an absolute monster when he's passed to, by the way. I understand Nyheim Hines has had quite a bit of the passing down work, but whenever Jonathan Taylor gets those catches, he is the most efficient running back in the backfield once catching the pass. As a matter of fact, Brian, he is the most efficient running back in the NFL after catching a pass. So Jonathan Taylor getting used in that. We saw him get a touchdown this past week in the passing game. If he can just get used a little bit more, they keep using this guy like he's supposed to be, that workhorse back. I'm going to like what I see there. And Phillip Rivers loves to dump it off to those guys. So I think he's going to have a good week against Las Vegas. And he's very available. So if you're struggling at quarterback, maybe you got Taysom Hill and all of a sudden Drew Brees comes back and Taysom Hill is not your guy no more. You're like, what am I going to do? Phillip Rivers is out there. Go get him. Defense. Cardinals defense. We just talked about them a little bit ago. Daniel Jones coming back, probably. And even if he does come back, I don't think he's going to be 100%. And a not 100% Daniel Jones is not going to be a pretty sight to behold at all. At 100%, Daniel Jones hasn't been pretty. So less than 100 is going to be ucky. So Cardinals defense has been a very good, I shouldn't say very good, has been a decently surprising fantasy defense this year, putting up very good numbers against very poor offenses. And I can see that happening again. I get that they're going to New York. This could become something that more of like a defensive showdown. We just saw the New York Giants stop Seattle from winning, and they stopped Russell Wilson from scoring, and they stopped Brian's dreams from occurring because I had them in my lineup when he was absolutely just shocked when I had him in there. Thought I was stupid when they're putting up multiple points, double-digit game. So I see the same thing happening with the Cardinals against the Giants this week. Double-digit game. It's going to be a good game. Get them in your lineups. They're only in 26. They're only managed in 26.6% of leagues out there.
Yeah, maniac.
Yeah,
young maniac. All right, Chad.
That is going to be it for this week's show. Be sure to tune in every Wednesday. What? Oh, that's right. Sorry, Brian. I'm used to going last, and so I felt so good, and also my takes are just better than yours.
How dare you? How absolutely dare you?
Give us your poor takes.
Jeez, unbelievable the respect I get around here. I tell you, I give you all these great things. I tell you about Miles Sanders. You don't listen to me, and then you try to cut the show on me. I see how it is. Look, BroMob. All right, let's get into my streamers. This is what you've really been waiting for anyway. I say the best for last. Chad tried to get away with it because he knows. But look, at quarterback, I'm gonna roll Teddy Bridgewater, Chad. I like Teddy Bridgewater this week. They're playing the Denver Broncos. Teddy Bridgewater's out there in about, he's only managed about 31% of ESPN leagues, so he should be out there in about 69, 68% of ESPN leagues. Very available. And, look, Denver's kind of middle of the road against opposing quarterbacks this year defensively. I think you could find worse matchups. Teddy Bridgewater's been very serviceable, especially as a streamer. He's had very good games. He's got talented wide receivers. You get the addition of Christian McCaffrey, though looks like he did aggravate a hip injury. Very irritated about that right now. He better play. Yep. I'm going to lose my mind. I have not had him all year. I've been waiting for him to get healthy, and then I hear a hip injury tightens up. I will punch people. I will punch random people on the street. But Christian McCaffrey should be hopefully good to go. And even if he's not, Teddy Bridgewater definitely going to be somebody that does well, I think, against this Denver defense. So Teddy Bridgewater as my streaming quarterback. At defense, Chad, I like the Washington Redskins defense against this 49ers offense. You got Washington a guy. Team. Well, that's a good point. Washington football team. I apologize. But we've got the Washington football team against the 49ers, AKA the Nick Mullins. Nick Mullins is doing all kinds of weird stuff over there. He's throwing interceptions. He doesn't know what he's looking at. This defense, number one passing defense in the league right now, Chad, is the Washington football team. Nick Mullins is going to get eaten alive. So I see potential for a pick six here. I see potential for sacks. I see a lot of potential for this this Washington football team defense against the 49ers. They're available in roughly half of ESPN leagues out there. Get them, get them rostered, play them. You'll be happy. I like the Washington football team this week, Chad. Oh, also really
rostered in more leagues.
No, I don't understand either. They should be rostered. But also I will say to your Cardinals defense, they're not just a good play this week, Chad. They're a good play rest of season. New York Giants this week, Philadelphia Eagles next week, and then they finish it against the San Francisco Nick Mullins. Okay. Not bad. Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't know they're not making the playoffs. They might just say you're done. Jimmy G might not even be back this year. So, which for fantasy, you would hope so. If you have the Cardinals defense. So if you happen to grab the Cardinals defense this week off of waivers, keep them on your roster because they're a really good defense to play. I think the whole playoffs.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Jimmy G might not be back in the future
at all. Yeah.
I know they're acting like they're committing, but if Carson Wentz comes available, I don't know if Kyle Shanahan would want to, try to be the one that fixes Carson Wentz. Because if you can fix Carson Wentz, we saw what he can do. We saw his 4-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. It's like the best. It's the best touchdown to interception ratio for the last 10 years or something like that. Aaron Rodgers, I think, and Patrick Mahomes are both going nuts this year. But before that, Carson Wentz was just dominating that MVP season. So if he can get fixed, I mean,
here's an interesting question. Do you think Jimmy Garoppolo could wind up a Patriot?
I've saw that. So I've actually saw rumors that the Patriots might trade for him, and it'd be hilarious because they'd probably have to give up less for him than they actually got for him when they traded him to the San Francisco 49ers. So
yeah,
it's not something that's crazy. I mean, the Patriots have won more games than we've expected, so they're out of the Trevor Lawrence talk. They're out of the Justin Fields talk. So it's going to be interesting, right? It's going to be really interesting.
I think this NFL offseason is going to be one of the most fascinating NFL offseasons we've seen in years. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait. I really can't.
Yeah, I can't wait either.
No.
We got a lot of content we're going to cover.
Oh, yeah, baby. I'll tell you right now, I hope the NFL draft actually happens in Vegas this year because, BroMob, we will be there. Like, Chad and I are going, and we're going to broadcast an episode from Vegas if we do actually have a draft in Vegas this year. So hopefully COVID is a thing of the past by the time we get to April and we're able to get the NFL draft because that will be a blast.
Yeah, we'll keep our fingers crossed because that will be absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
The only downfall about this offseason, Brian, is going to be the fact that there's no XFL. So we're not going to be able to talk. We got to wait till 2022. I think
2022 though, baby. It's coming. It'll be here before we know it.
It'll be here.
I can't wait.
I loved everything about it. I hope it comes back as strong as ever. But yeah, we got to wait another year for that. Another year for spring football, but that's okay. I can wait for a good product. I'll wait for a good product.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right, BroMob. Now it's going to be it for this week's show. Be sure to tune in every Wednesday to stay up to date on the fantasy football world and to gather any insights on how to dominate your fantasy football leagues.
Yeah. Also, BroMob, again, I can't say it enough. 100th episode is coming up in just a few weeks. So stay tuned to Twitter, stay tuned to Instagram, stay on our TikTok page, all of that stuff. Tags Chad's pointing at him right now at FF Bros Podcast on Twitter, at FF Bros Podcast on Instagram, at Fantasy Football Bros on TikTok. Make sure you're peeled to those pages. We're going to have all kinds of stuff. We're going to lead up to this 100th episode. It's really, Chad and I are super excited about it. 100 episodes. We talked about it when we envisioned the podcast, and now it's finally coming to life here over the next few weeks. So we're excited to celebrate it with you.
Yep, me too, Brian. Look, BroMob, if you're not watching us on YouTube, you're missing out on a great show. Things are getting good. It's getting hot. It's looking good. Keanu always looks great. He's staring upon us every single day, making sure we're giving you good advice, or else he's going to show up with the number 2 pencil at our front doorstep, and we don't want that.
Oh,
nobody wants Baba Yaga showing up, okay?
Nope.
Terrible time.
Nope.
So, look, start watching on YouTube. Subscribe. Hit that bell. Make sure you're getting notifications going. If you're on Apple Podcasts listening to us, maybe you've stumbled across us. Welcome. Subscribe. It's going to be great. You're getting new episodes every single week. You're listening to them before your family members can, before your friends can, and you're getting that juicy advice from these 2 amigos here. What?
Juicy.
Not really amigos. We're actually brothers. And we're giving the best advice in the world. So come on over to us. Check out our website, thefantasyfootballbros.com, for all kinds of news, articles, rankings, so much more. BroMob, we will see you next week when it comes to week 2 of the fantasy playoffs this year. See ya.
Bye, everybody.